Hello friends, it's Molly and welcome to Soul School Tarot and Astrology. If this is your first time here, I'm so glad you found me. I just finished up my sort of introductory video for the Starseed Collective. It's a little bit of an introduction to myself, an introduction to my mission with the Starseed Collective channel on Patreon. And then I talk a little bit in that it's a little bit of an invitation to join my community and to let you know where I'm coming from and why. But my purpose for that is just to kind of let people know what they're getting into if they do decide to join me at the Starseed Collective on Patreon, which launches on September 1st. That will be the first day that you can enroll. We are about 10 days out from that, actually a little bit over a week out from that right now. And so my goal is to go ahead and just put out our first weekly reading. This will be something that you guys can expect if you join me over there on Patreon. I'm going to get some music real quick. All right, guys, we are definitely catching a vibe now. So, like I was saying before, once a week on the Starseed Collective, I'm going to put out a message just like this that is guided by my fifth dimensional guide, Michael, as well as the Arcturian Collective. If you guys want to know more about that, I do talk about it into the introduction video. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my camera. And then I also will include a blog link or a forum link below so you guys can check out a little bit more of my story and hopefully join me over there on the Starseed Collective forum. That you do have to sign up to join my website, but it's completely free of charge. You do not have to join the Patreon Starseed Collective in order to participate in that. And in fact, I welcome all the voices we can possibly get in there. So thank you guys so much for helping me to build that. I'll talk a little bit about the way that I do my readings and how the readings that I'm doing for you guys on the Starseed Collective channel is a little bit different. There's a timestamp below if you just want to get right into the reading, okay? Before I sit down for a reading, I consult with my guides to plan the layout of the reading, what decks are going to be used, what questions I'm going to be asking. And so I'd really like to get into I don't use regular spreads on my readings, but I have created one that I'd like to use with you guys weekly, and that may be amended. Everything I do on my readings and my channels is very, very, very intuitively guided. I started my YouTube channel in August of 2019, so just about a year ago. And that's about the same time that I really started building and developing my relationship with my spiritual guides, and from there it has just grown and taken off, and so I am really, really happy to be able to help you guys along that journey as well. The way that I want to start this reading is just by looking at weekly vibes. And by the way, guys, once I start channeling messages, I have notes to keep me on task, but my guides can be a little distracting at times. So if you guys are interested in joining the Starseed Collective over on Patreon, that is only $11 a month right now. And in fact, you can't really do that until September 1st because I don't want to charge you for like a week, right? Okay, here's the first weekly reading for you guys. Welcome aboard. Let's get into this. This is the Starseed Oracle. If you guys want to know more about my decks, you can actually, there's a link below to my website. You can take a peek at all my decks. I do not have the Galactic Heritage cards here, but you will see those very shortly. This is the overarching theme for all my Starseeds this week, and I love it because this is why I've created the Starseed Collective. The message is you are not alone. Isolation, physical connection, and community are some of the things that come up. Look at that beautiful magic. Yes, if you guys watch the introduction, I talk about the fact that I have been given the mission of creating a community, of creating a network of just not for my purposes, but to put you guys in touch with one another so that you guys can come to understand your own missions that you've created for yourself in this lifetime, to put you in touch with the teams with whom you created those missions, and then to, of course, connect with one another and get that magic to happen. Sharing information, sharing inspiration, sharing memories, sharing just so many wonderful ideas, you guys. This is a big shout out on my face. This is your weekly vibe for, by the way, I'm going to call this until now, which is August 27th, until September the 1st. And that's when we'll have our next reading out over there on Patreon. You are not alone. Isn't there a song? There's a song, you are not alone. I don't know. I come from an era of just, you know, the best R&B that ever existed. So I want to say that's some like 90s R&B. These are some energies for you to call upon or to call attention to. This is the Galactic Heritage cards. Part of my guidance team actually consists of a team of primarily Arcturian energies who are helping me to kind of piece together a narrative of of galactic history, all right, as it relates to our development here on Earth. And so they're here to guide us. This is a set of cards that was released by Lisa Royal Holt. She was recommended to me by the Starseed Zia, who you can find on TikTok at light.matters_. Definitely check them out. Amazing, amazing resource. Refer me to Lisa Royal Holt, and that has been a big source of understanding galactic history for me. So I definitely recommend that. This deck, like I said before, however, is not on my channel. Look at this. Confusion. Number 4. Each of these has a time stream on it, as well as a civilization, and then a number, an image, a keyword. So today, some of the information that our guides want to bring to us as starseeds to focus on right now, yes, beautiful, is about some of the confusion that's going on. The time stream on that refers to a parallel universe or a parallel present time stream. And the second card that came out is actually embracing transition. I'm going to get one more before I form a coherent message. Are you guys both coming out? Beautiful. That makes sense. These are good messages for you guys. All right. So, out there in the world, if you guys begin to, like, I remember I first came across the idea of being a starseed some time ago, and I was like, that's crazy. What are you talking about? And then it took some time for me to really come to terms with that truth on my own. In the process of that, however, I came across so many conflicting sources of information. It became very, very hard and, in fact, overwhelming for me to sort out who I really was, where I'm from, why I'm here. So the message that they'd like me to share with you today is that in order to find that, you really have to go within. Part of the message here in You Are Not Alone is, I talk about it in my intro, the heart is a portal. Okay. When you open up your heart to your star family, to your star guides, if you know how to connect with them, honestly, as soon as you start trying, it becomes possible. As soon as you believe it is possible, it becomes possible. All right. So connecting to them in your heart, for me, it's very typical of me because I'm just very much an autodidact. If there's something that I want to learn, I will learn it. I will teach myself. So I was out there gathering all this information and being like, well, what is it, this version of the story or that version of the story or that? And what I learned and what the guides are coming through to say for you guys right now is you've got to go within. Meditation, astral projection, direct communication with guides, and past life regressions are really, really your best source of information. Going to 18 different websites and getting 18 different versions of the story can just really be confusing. Because once you begin to understand the magnitude of galactic history, there are so many different realities that have existed, are existing, will exist, that you're going to get people, like valid sources, that are coming up with very, very different versions of certain narratives, right? So if you start to get confused with all of that, go ahead and look within. You are not alone. Your team with whom you shaped your mission on Earth in this lifetime is available to you. All you have to do is go within. I recently connected with a dolphin guide. Oh my God, you guys. Speaking of dolphin guides, this next one we have here is Serious Energy. Dolphin guides are something that actually I first connected, I was getting a bunch of hints through guides, and then also the galactic heritage cards. And then I went ahead and I did an astral projection, sort of an astral past life regression, if you will, and did some swimming with dolphins, and came to discover that I do have a dolphin guide that I can connect with at any time. And that is such a beautifully emotionally healing energy that I want to recommend it to you all. This card, however, I'm going to do both of these together, is about embracing the transition, understanding that as you guys are coming into your Starseed awakening, you might feel very, very alone, because there are a lot of people around you who are like I was 3-6 months ago. Like, that's crazy. It's not crazy, you guys. And we're all here to validate that for you. Okay, every member of this collective is here to validate that for you. Your star family is here to validate that for you. But there are a lot of people in your life who will not be able to validate these things for you. And that's very, very difficult. All right. So embracing transitions means that as you step into, and it's really a bigger message, as you step more and more into living your fully authentic life, there are people who won't understand that. And some older relationships, older patterns, older habits, locations, you know, just different things in your life will fade away. And there's sometimes this state before they've been replaced with new connections, experiences, memories, locations, interests, things like that. So embracing that transition right now, it's actually a dual message, because we're being asked as a collective to embrace the transition that we're going through on planet Earth right now, and to understand, once again, not everybody's quite here yet. All right. And then there's the transition that you're going through in your personal life as you step into your Starseed journey and your Starseed identity, your Starseed awakening, that it can take some time from the moment that you accept that until you feel like you have a community around you that you can openly share those ideas with. I'm here to help you guys create that community. That's why this video is being made right now, okay? But assistance without interference. This is a message coming in from outside, not just from Sirian consciousness, Arcturian, Pleiadian, Orioninian. I don't know how to say that. From Orion, from all, like, so many. This is coming from the Galactic Federation of Light. That's what they want me to say, all right? That there are many, many beings right now that are, I can get into the theory of inner Earth later. I'm actually kind of still exploring my beliefs on inner Earth. There's an idea that there are consciousnesses present in the planet, near the planet, on the planet, right? Their inner environment that are assisting without interfering. That's very important. Thank you, guys. Which means that they're here. They showed up to help, but they're not going to like come in and do the work without being asked. Does that make sense? So it's like a helpline that you could call. Boop, boop, boop. Hi, this is the, you know, this is the Galactic Federation of Light. How can I direct your call? Okay, know that there are so many, and there's dolphins and whales out in the ocean. There is, look up the theory of inner Earth. I was actually last night reading the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Atlantean. I'm going to talk about that a lot and actually probably do some writing about it in the very near future. Where did I go with that? Oh, and he was talking about how there is this point actually in the history of Atlantis where human consciousness started to drop, started to go closer towards the darkness. All right. Started to become heavier, denser, darker. And in fact, this is a part of what in Tablet 2, Thoth the Atlantean describes the first destruction of Atlantis. So it was this cataclysmic flood that came in. And then after the flood, it's like all these star beings came in. And according to the tablets, literally like blasted away a space in the middle of the earth to live and to reside and to watch us, to guide us, to help, right? There are so many different ways to consider who or what is on this planet to help us out, where they are, and how to come into contact with them. They want me to let you know that coming into contact with trees, rocks, earth, and water, that there are messages stored there for you guys that are meant to assist in your awakening, okay? Data can be stored in so many magical ways, okay? So many magical ways. So basically, we came into this life, we've got like our spiritual backup, like our team, right? Like, y'all, I'm going in there, you got my back. And they're like, yeah, we're here, just call for help. But they're not going to come in and help unless you're asking, right? So definitely, if you have some crazy theory, like I think the tree at the park wants to talk to me, it's not crazy. If there is a rock down by the river that's been whispering your name, that's not crazy, all right? Understand that our galactic guides are here to communicate with us in so many different ways, but they need you to ask, all right? So assistance without interference. It also refers to the fact that many of you guys are on a particular mission here on Earth at this time, where that is your role, is to assist without interfering. I have a hard time with that because I run this YouTube channel. I do readings all the time. I did an Aries reading the other day that I was like, oh my God, I think this is for my friend. But my friend didn't ask me for that information. So I was just like, hey, if you want it, there it is. But I'm not saying you've got to read this message. This is definitely for you. Right? Putting the information, leading horses to water, right? Putting the information in front of them and then letting people help themselves to that is a big part of what we are here to do. So you're not being asked to go out and teach the gospel of the 7 laws of the universe. You're just being asked right now to understand them and master them so that when somebody comes to you and says, whoa, how do I do this? You can be like, let me let you know. All right. Self-observance is the next card. These cards, by the way, these are the, like I said, energies to pay attention to, energies to call upon. Yes. Okay. I have to call upon some of my memory of galactic history because this is about the, it refers to Lyran civilization, but is not unique to Lyran civilization. Each of these different civilizations has been on their own path of development and has learned certain karmic lessons as a collective, as a civilization. That's what we're here to guide Earth through. We don't want, like, Earth is our little brother, little sister, and we want to guide them through what we may have failed at in the past. All right? Yes, that is right. That is right. Yes, yes, yes. Beautiful. So this is especially for those of you who are going through any sort of shadow work right now. All right. Part of the Lyrans were the very, very first conscious beings to like play out a third dimensional or third density reality. So they are our forefathers, our ancientest ancestors, and they didn't really have a lot of guides. And so what they did is they viewed the world as like from a very kind of like materialistic standpoint. They didn't have any spiritual mentors. And therefore, in early Lyran civilization, there was not a lot of introspection, of self-observance. Self-observance, they want me to go ahead and talk about fourth dimensional, the perspective of the fourth dimension. Many of you guys are already mastering this in your meditations and astral projections. The perspective of the fourth dimension or the fourth density understands that time and space are kind of all existing at the same time, right? And that's also where our subconscious resides. When you want to understand why you keep acting in certain ways, even though it goes against your consciousness, understanding it's all a part of your subconscious programming. Observing that with non-judgment and understanding that is a big part of what each of us is meant to be doing right now. Because once we've done that process within us, we can guide other people in that process of self-observation. So that's part of what this means on the individual level. At this time, as you guys are going through healing, please understand, like, some of you guys are like, wow, I always thought I was a little more enlightened than everybody else on this planet. But then I look back at my history and man, I've acted in some really, really human ways. And yeah, that was a part of the plan. That was a part of the mission. And so when you can step into that fourth dimensional consciousness and view your experiences, your past lives, karmic lessons, inner trauma, from the standpoint of the observer, where you're trying to learn something about it, right? Instead of from the standpoint of the perceiver, right? One way that I talk about, let me go ahead and get into this, talk about this is a skill that I used in therapy long before I started doing past life regressions, is that I often, when I got triggered, because I do have a lot of childhood trauma, I would get triggered and I would say, man, you know, I feel blah, 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 blah. And my therapist would be like, how old do you feel? And out of nowhere, a number would emerge, like, I know 6, okay? So now, go back to 6-year-old Molly. I learned how to take my adult self back on the time stream, which is a fourth dimension skill, to sit and observe that situation and observe the data that was being handed to that little Molly at that time. Does that make sense? You can also, through that point of observation, begin to observe situations in which soul fragmentation exists. So there's another experience, like meditation. Basically, when I talk about fourth dimension, I'm talking about when you're in the meditation space, your psychic space, astral projection, that kind of stuff, okay? When you're time traveling. So basically, I had to do a soul reintegration where I went back to a very physically traumatizing moment in my life. Like, I was in this terrible car accident. And I went back to that moment as an observer and saw that fragments of my energy, that fragments of my soul got scattered all over that scene. And when I went back and saw it from that perspective, I could regather them and bring them back with me. Y'all got that? Okay. It's also the ability, like I said, to visit with a past self, to visit with a future self, but also when you perceive yourself as the observer, it becomes so much clearer to see what are your subconscious patterns that you're acting out, where are you giving away your power, where are you needing your healing, etc., etc. So, as you guys are going through this process that can be very confusing, that can be a part of a difficult transition, our galactic guides are really asking you to go through that process without any judgment. Okay? You've got to remove judgment from the way you perceive yourself. That's the best way to begin to remove judgment from the way we perceive situations outside of ourselves. Y'all got that? Okay, great. So, there are just some energies to pay attention to. I have, the next part of this reading will be, just straight messages from guides. And this is sort of like advice, if you will. For this one, I will use a tarot deck. And in fact, today I've chosen the Tarot of Gemstones and Crystals, because I do feel like those crystals are going to serve as really good recommendations for you guys. So I'm looking to get about 3 cards. Thank you so much. Divine Spirits of... Oh, I love it. I'm so excited, you guys. Let's get one more. There we are. Smoky Quartz. Ooh, if you guys are into past life regressions, hit me up for a spiritual guidance session if you guys want to do that. I also just created, if you go to recorded readings on my website, there will be a link below. You can order a 30-minute Starseed orientation reading. Basically, I will use many of these decks to get into questions about your potential Starseed origin, your mission, who are your guides, what are some karmic lessons that you're here to help humanity evolve through. For this reading today, for our collective, this is an interesting collection. First of all, black tourmaline. This is bloodstone. I've got bloodstone to grab myself today, but black tourmaline is another very, very, very common, great stone for grounding, for the root chakra, for balancing the root chakra, and also for helping to draw out any negative energy. Because, oh my gosh, have you guys looked at the news lately? Whew, sorry about all the crazy lights. Energy in the world is crazy. So whenever it begins to feel very heavy and very dense, two pieces of advice are coming out of this. This Nine of Wands is a very protective stance, all right? You want to remain relaxed. This is actually, look into, is it Dr. Jack Ryan? Talks about quantum field healing. Our DNA is this helix, right? It can be this long or it can be scrunched up. When it's stressed, it's scrunched up. And based on the study of epigenetics, that has to do with which of our genes can be expressed. You want to make use of all your Starseed DNA. You have to be able to be in a more relaxed state of consciousness. So the higher your vibration, the more you can utilize your human and Starseed DNA. Isn't that pretty cool? I'm going to set a link to that video that you guys can learn more about that in the description box below. And that'll be a pretty normal part of my readings, guys. I love sharing resources. So this Nine of Wands is very defensive, very doubtful. And the thing, one of the messages that's coming through is physically and consciously, mentally, emotionally, that's not a good stance for you to be in. Okay, if you want to open yourself up to growing, learning, evolving, healing. So you may have to put up boundaries between yourself and any energies that are particularly draining or stressful right now, or just really, really negative. Don't give in to the fear mongering. Don't do it. That's what people want. The entities who would like Earth to not evolve, they're behind the fear mongering. All right. So make sure that you're keeping that DNA stretched out by keeping yourself in that high vibration. That is a consciousness that focuses on love and gratitude. All right. All right. And part of why this is magical, sometimes I learn things in readings. I did not know this, but I'm going to go ahead and share this. I knew that the sun is a source, like I said, of information, of data, star data. The sun is a star, you guys. So that is the sun and sunstone. I actually was drinking some water with a sunstone. I had a sunstone in the bottom of my water bottle for the day. And I just felt so full of vitality. I loved it. So the sun, absorbing the sun is actually like really, really good for activating your Starseed DNA, but I didn't really make the consciousness until just now between the quantum DNA field. In other words, how much of your DNA, how relaxed, high vibrational is your DNA? Because that means that more of your DNA is activated, okay? When you're in that relaxed state, and you're chilling in the sun, you are soaking up beautiful, it's a DNA activation. I don't know how else to say it. Parts of you that are not necessarily currently being expressed. So soaking up the sun. Also, I feel like this is not the place to get into a whole side conversation about the God Ra, the consciousness Ra, the consciousness of our sun, but look into that, okay? Explore that on your own. And then this smoky quartz is a very good stone to use when you're doing something like a soul retrieval. When I talked about going back to this very traumatic day in my life and picking up all the pieces of my soul that I lost to that day. Smoky quartz is good for that. It's also good for connecting with the causal chakra, C-A-U-S-A-L, which helps to release a lot of old karmic cycles. Sometimes we've done the work and then we need to consciously release that. Working with the causal chakra and actually learning about the history of the causal chakra is very, very interesting. So that is some information that you guys can do a little bit of research on. All right. So one final card that I want to draw for you guys today. And this is from the Alchemical Visions Tarot. Oh, the other thing that I want to say with this smoky quartz is if you guys are feeling stressed, anytime you're feeling stressed, there's something pent up in you that needs to be released. That's how they really want you to begin to, I guess, shape your mentality. That if you're going through stress, it's because there's some blockage between you and your connection to or knowledge of your own divinity. The fact that we are all one, okay? So for some of you guys, that means putting an end to certain behaviors, certain patterns, certain relationships. But for some of you guys, it does also have to do with the amount of stress that we can pick up in the general consciousness, collective consciousness on earth right now. My purpose with the Alchemical Visions Tarot in these weekly Starseed readings is to give you guys a quote-unquote puzzle to unravel. A very important element, assistance without interference, a big important element of Syrian teaching methods, and also as an educator with my own personal philosophy of education. It's all about, like I said, leading the horse to water and letting them drink, but don't let your horses go thirsty. Am I right? So it's like if you went to a buffet, right? Imagine school as a buffet. All right, something like this as a buffet. Imagine we all go there and then your teacher brings you the plate from the buffet. No, you want to go to the buffet and fix your own plate. The teacher's job is to make sure that it's full. Make sure that there's plenty for you to choose from. So this Alchemical Visions Tarot, we will talk about alchemy a lot. It is a central facet to the Syrian mystery schools and Syrian schools of magic that I've been a part of for eons. But it's really about, like I said, this self-observance, being able to get into your subconscious and observe some of the patterns at work. The problem is our subconscious doesn't speak the same language as our conscious mind. It speaks through images. All right. So the Alchemical Visions Tarot. Beautiful. I understand you. The Alchemical Visions Tarot is very much full of images that are designed to spark your subconscious. So as I hold this up and talk about this card, this is the card that we got today, the Page of Coins. Please go ahead and take from it whatever messages you're picking up from your guides. Please let that be a regular part of you viewing my readings. Make sure that you're not just listening to me, you're holding all of this up against your own intuition. And then whatever other intuitions you have, enter that into the conversation in the comments below. I would love that so much. All right. So this is a message to unravel. So I'm going to give you guys a puzzle and let you guys think about it. I want to leave you with questions. All right. I understand. I understand. The question is, who can help you on your mission? All right, because the Page of Coins is a new enterprise. It doesn't always have to do with a partnership, but in this image, it does. Okay, coins, by the way, represent resources, skills, tools, anything that is put in our 3D reality in order to help us along our path. If it's tangible, like people, books, websites, philosophies, resources, connections, right? That kind of stuff. This Page of Coins to me right now illustrates you guys, the collective. Kind of looking around like, where do I start? Where do I start? What's the first tool that I pick up okay, because it came out inverted. And then when we reverse it or when we upright it, you see that there's a connection being made here. Do you see those hands? It's almost like, hello, it's a pleasure to meet you. And also, you guys, do you see, look at all these arrows that to me represent ascension. And also the dragon is a very interesting subconscious symbol, because in Eastern philosophy, it represents wisdom, whereas in Western philosophy, it represents the ego. Two very different things. So what does it represent to you? To me, it does represent sort of the wisdom of the skies, right? The wisdom of the skies. But there's also a lot of you for whom this pentacle is showing up as a portal. And I've talked about this in some of my recent readings, especially some of my love readings, that this pentacle actually represents a portal that opens when two hearts come together. In friendship, in camaraderie, maybe romance, right? Even if it's just in like mentorship or connecting somebody with a resource, right? Can really, really open up their heart. Yes, because here is another representation of us right now. We are these bison trying to cross this river. Right? The river represents this vast sea of consciousness. And navigating that, especially when we're used to walking across land, we're used to our 3D consciousness where we're not like, the difference between 3D and 4D consciousness, I described in a TikTok as being the difference between riding a bicycle and swimming underwater. Because you're riding a bicycle, the third dimension way of viewing us moving through the world, you're always connected to the ground and you can only go in one direction. You can't, I mean, you can steer, but a bike doesn't go sideways, okay? When you're underwater, you can go up, down, you can turn around, you can go in so many different directions. And that's how we learn. That's the reality of time that we can come to understand at a fourth dimensional consciousness. Oh, us, if you're here, we're the fourth dimensional stewards, really trying to lead the rest of humanity to see things in that way. But what I see here are these bison trying to make it through this water. And do you see how there's a guide? And then there's people who are following the guide, right? Like they're definitely working on the buddy system. So if it's not me, look out there and find who's your guide. So I pointed to Zia the Starseed, was a really good point of reference for me. Lisa Royal Holt, Mateus De Stefano. I've got certain tarot readers, San Tarot, S-A-N, Tarot. Like if you guys are on the path of spiritual ascension, her readings are tremendous. Find somebody who can help to lead you through this. Imagine all of these bison, all of us starseeds, just walking through our third dimensional reality. It's like, yo, I can move across a field. That's easy. But now there's all this water and all these new forms of consciousness for us to work our way through and navigate our way through. And the best way that we're going to do that is together. So the question that I'm leaving you guys with for this week is, what are your resources? What are some connections that you can make at this time? And then I do have this healing. Is that okay? It is called the Healing the Mind and Spirit cards. Yo. And these are just a couple messages I'm going to leave you with, okay? These have like a little paragraph on one side, a couple sentences, and then an affirmation on the other side. So make the space between you and another a sanctuary so that the other person can speak safely. That ties both in with your assistance without interference and the kind of connections that you may be looking to create, creating a sacred space, messaging somebody else who might be into UFOs on your Facebook and be like, yo, what do you think about Starseed stuff? Create a safe space where you guys can share those ideas. All right. I listen to others without criticism or judgment. All right. That's another like self-observance also. If you guys are out there in the world wishing people would listen to you, without criticism or judgment. Make sure that you're doing the same to other people. All right. And then when on sort of like the other side of that is when you confront somebody who is not treating you with openness and non-judgment. This is guidance for you. Arrogance is merely another face of fear. Understand that that is a fear-based response, and that the society that we are living in today wants very much, we have been programmed to act from our fear-based responses. So if somebody's acting like that, congratulations, you've discovered a part of your mission. I know, right? Sometimes you just want to walk away. But listen, arrogance is merely another face of fear. Without fear, there would be no need for arrogance, all right? I stand strong in the face of arrogant or aggressive people. I do want to say, be protective of your energy. Like if you're having a conversation with somebody and they appear fully committed to not understanding you, take your wisdom elsewhere, because that is going to really, really help you maintain your internal balance. And I will talk about that. The Justice card, I'll show that to you, had also come out of the Alchemical Visions Tarot, right? So maintaining that inner balance, choosing your battles wisely, standing in what you know to be your truth is also just a little bit of guidance that's coming through from our star family. You guys, we made it through our first Starseed Collective weekly reading. I cannot wait. Less introduction next time, okay? But I cannot wait to do these for you on a weekly basis over on Patreon. Go ahead and follow the link below. If you're doing that before September 1st, you can bookmark that. Join, subscribe after September 1st, just so you don't get charged $11 for the month of September, all right, which is 3 days, all right? I also have a link below if you guys want to book me for a personal reading. If you guys are interested in a Starseed orientation, I think that's listed at only $40 right now. That is a good price. I'm so happy to help you guys out. I'm so happy to have you here. I will stop rambling and I'll see you guys later. All right, take care.